Okay, so good day everyone. For today, we're going to have, of course, discussions about the strategic control, and uh, evaluation. So, the strategic evaluation and controls in Strama, for uh, is a critical process, and assesses the effectiveness of an organization's strategies and ensure that they are implemented and monitored efficiently. So we look into, of course, the evaluation of strategic performance, analysis of external and internal factors, benchmarking and comparative analysis, strategic control systems, feedback mechanism, risk management, strategic learning and adoption, aligning with organizational objectives. And this strategic evaluation and control play a vital role in the strategic management process by assessing what I have mentioned, and through systematic evaluation and control mechanism, an organization can enhance their strategic agility, resilience, and ultimately their competitive advantage in the marketplace. And to give us more details about the topic, let us all welcome our presenters. Go ahead.
Thank you so much, Doc po. Good morning po once again, my Doc, Dean, and our dear classmates. So again po, so the overview of our report for topic 6 on the strategic evaluation and control were already discussed by Dean. So to further discuss po the details is on the introduction and strategic evaluation process. So strategic evaluation and control. So as what Dean mentioned, it is really a vital element po on a strategic management process with the purpose of appraising and modifying an organization's strategies to guarantee their alignment with its goals and objectives. So we are already aware that in some organizations or even in big companies, that they really set goals and objectives, of which part of this strategic evaluation and control is to see to it that all the strategies or the HIPAs, or also known as the high impact plans and programs, will also be aligned with its goals and objectives. So this process entails a methodological analysis of the strategic management activities to assess their efficacy and implement any necessary modifications for optimal performance. We're going to check in this process, we're going to check on a certain process which needs modification, or somehow we're going to check this implementation, whether it still suits to the market. So aside from that, strategic evaluation and control is also the process of determining the effectiveness of a given strategy in achieving the organization's objectives and taking corrective actions when it's required. So also, strategic evaluation is analyzing the internal and external elements that impact the execution of a company's strategy. So this entails assessing the organization's resources, competencies, and competitive landscape. So with this strategic evaluation, as what I have mentioned, we are going to check the competitiveness at the same time, if our implementation still suits the market, or we can we compete to our competitors. So through a comprehensive study, or we can also conduct benchmarking in some other companies or even other related institutions. So managers can discern areas of proficiency and deficiency, potential advantages and potential risk, empowering team to make well-informed judgments regarding the ongoing plan. Of course, in the implementation process, so from the top, so it is from the rank and file, or in the operation, who will really do the implementation and see to it that they can also recommend to the top management whether this certain implementation is still applicable or not. So the other is control can be exercised through formulation of contingency strategies and crisis management team. So this is what we do no in terms of for any certain instances of strategies wherein there are emergency occurrence no of some implementations no wherein we see to it then a certain management there must be a crisis management team who will evaluate the strategies. So next is the strategic evaluation process. So in this strategic evaluation process, organizations can implement a strategy evaluation framework to see to it that when used conducting an evaluation, so the strategy entails several steps, of which this will also include help no, on the what will be to determine the business wants not to accomplish at the same time. So we will going to decide to how will be the goals will be measured, and then we'll see to it that the business also differs from others, and somehow in the end is that we're going to conclude and fix some problems for consideration. So what are those steps that we need to follow? So first, on the step 1 is setting standards or performance. So for this step 1, so we are going to consider those basic questions in attaining the standards of performance. So first is that what standard should be set. So we're going to identify what will be the standard. And then next is that how should the standards be set? So alam na natin kung ano yung standards na isi-set natin. Pangalawa is that how are we going to attain it? And then lastly is that in what terms should these standards be expressed, or what will be the specific HIPAs or the high impact plans and programs, or even the strategies that we are going to implement. So in setting standards, so we need to consider of course the criteria for the standards for us to be guided how to implement it. First is that it must be aligned in accordance, of course, with our goals and objectives of the organization. Second is that we need to see to it that our standards is also quantitative and do have qualitative dimensions, which will encompass those basic 4 areas of the operation, of which it includes the financial measures, the customer satisfaction, the internal business process, at the same time, the learning and growth. So those 4 aspects in the operation or even in the whole organization in consideration of the qualitative and quantitative dimensions must be considered. So the other establishing criteria is that we need to see to it also part of checking somehow benchmarking. We are going to check our past performance and we are going to compare it to the existing industry whether it is suitable or not. And then at the same time we will have to make sure or somehow consider that the criteria that we're going to set or the standards that we're going to establish must be on a SMART criteria. So I think this is very common to everyone. So what do SMART stands for? So it must be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bounded. So these are the SMART elements, which is we can utilize or somehow we can guarantee that our standards will be capable of implementable at the same time, will compete in the market. So next is on the step 2. So this is the measurement of the performance. So in the step 2, so for the standard of performance, so we are going to evaluate our actual performance, whether still operating pa okay pa siya or shall be done by the respective departments. So what are those departments that I am referring for, or even the processes that I am referring for? It can be done through the accounting and the reporting and communication systems. So how can we do this measurement of performance? So there are a lot of systems that can be used to check or even to monitor our performance, which will gauge the actual operation and somehow can help the managers or the top management in making decisions. The step 3 will be analyzing the variances. So for this analyzing variances, So there are two main tasks, no, are noting deviations and finding the cause of the deviations. So when actual performance is equal to budgeted performance, tolerance limit must be set. So of course, no, we need to see to it that our budgeted performance, no, or even our actual performance must exceed to our budgeted performance. No, because of course, a company cannot afford that what we had budgeted is compared to our actual, no, as that as hindi siya ma-attain. So for example, here in our company, on a annual basis, we do have annual budgeting. So in all our key result areas, or all our key RAs, and in the respective offices, so we have respective target for the year, of which this is also aligned with our goals and objectives, as well as for our performance management system in each employees. So when actual performance is greater than budgeted performance, one must check the validity of standards and efficiency of the management. So the other also is when actual performance is less than the budgeted performance, we must pinpoint the areas where performance is low and take corrective actions. So of course, no, on the operation side, so when we check that our actual performance is less than the budgeted performance, of course, no, we need to check on those areas that which do have performance in low, and that after that we must take into consideration or review or even recommend to our top management for some corrective actions. So what are the causes of those deviations? So it could be with the external or internal, random or expected, or temporary or permanent. So the other last step is at step 4, which is taking corrective actions. So in this step 4, no, so it consists the checking performance, no, it includes the in-depth analysis and the diagnosis of the factors that might be responsible for bad performance. So once we check already done checking with our performance, so we are also going to check our standards, no, so if it's still relevant, and then we're going to formulate strategies wherein we're going to have a strategic management process. At the same time, we will do the taking corrective actions afterwards. So that is all about the introduction of strategic evaluation control and its respective processes. So next is I will be discussing the difference between operational and strategic control process. So if we say operational control, so it involves an allocation and utilization of organizational resources. So the other, it also evaluates the performance of organizational units, divisions, and strategic business units to determine their contribution toward accomplishing organizational objectives. Whereas strategic control, so it takes into account the changing assumptions that determine strategy, continually evaluate the strategy as it is being implemented, and take necessary steps to adjust the strategy to meet the new requirements and demands. So to elaborate further, so strategic control involves more on monitoring and adjusting organization's overall strategy, whereas operational control, this is more on involves day-to-day management. So aside from that, let's have a comparative for sort of somehow comparison between the two. So if we say on a term base of our operation or for the goal and objectives of the organization, so strategic control can have a long-term focus on the goals, whereas on the operational control, it will have only the short-term focus on specific tasks. As what I have mentioned a while ago, more on operational control is per se is really the operational basis, no, wherein it can be done on a day-to-day basis. In terms of managing the organization, so on the strategic control, it will have the top management is responsible. And then on the operational control, so it will be the middle or the lower level management is responsible. In terms of formulation of the strategies or the goals and objectives, so it will be on the strategic control. So there's a broad scope and strategic perspective, whereas on the operational control, so there's a narrow scope and operational perspective. So kumbaga sa operational control as that specific na sa each respective divisions in the operations. So on the strategic control, so it evaluates the overall performance and progress towards the long-term goals, whereas on the operational control, so it monitors on a day-to-day basis performance and the progress towards with its specific task or what is being targeted in the specific division of the operation. And then it looks at a certain factors such as market trends and competition for strategic control. And the operational control, it looks at internal factors such as resources and efficiency. Next, in the strategic control, so it uses financial metrics such as return on investment and profitability. Wherein the operational control, it uses operational metrics such as productivity and quality controls. And then other also in strategic control, so it involves making strategic decisions such as entering new markets or developing new products. So this is considered as a whole implementation. No? We're going to consider the market. And then in the operational control, so it involves implementing decisions made at higher levels, such as how to manufacture a product efficiently. And then sort of example, so in strategic control, so deciding to enter a new market or developing a new market. So we're in, so as a whole, which will affect the entire goals of the organization and the objectives of the organization. So we're going to decide if we're going to venture into new market or we're going to develop a new product in lieu of entering into new market. And then whereas in the operational control, so we're going to decide how to manufacture a product efficiently or managing inventory levels, this is relevant to the main or to the core objectives of the company of new product development or even new market venture. So what are those advantages? Just a quick lang po of strategic evaluation control. So more on the advantages, it provides a clear understanding of organizational goals and objectives wherein it must be aligned. Our respective strategies must be aligned with this. So it helps to identify and prioritize key performance indicators or the KPI, of which this, to discuss further for the KPI, so it will be included in the succeeding reports. And then it will also facilitate the alignment of organizational activities with strategic goals. So since you already have, as what I have said, so since you already have goals and objectives, so we're going to set specific high impact plans and programs to attain those goals and objectives. And we're going to allow for identification and management and potential risks. So in the implementation process, of course, there's a crisis management system who will identify those potential risks and what will be the corrective action. And then it enables the tracking of progress towards goals and objectives through measuring our strategic control, and then part of the process, and then facilitates the identification of new opportunities for growth and expansion. So enhances the ability to make informed data-driven decisions. So because we have part of the process or the steps is to measure. So as what I have mentioned, so we're going to set a system or some monitoring facility so that this will help as to the data-driven decisions. Next is it improves communication and collaboration among different departments and stakeholders. And lastly, it enhances the ability to adapt to changes in the internal and external environment. So next is what will be the advantages of operational control. So it improved efficiency and productivity through coordination of activities and resources. So other than that, it also increased flexibility in responding to changing conditions of unexpected events. It also enhances ability to monitor and control performance, including compliance with regulations and policies. So this is very important, no, that each company do have respective regulations and policies of which in each department it's a must, no, the compliance, no, of our regulations, of course, and to avoid deviations, no, kay para naman yung mga to avoid errors or somehow on the end of our internal audits or external factors who will conduct the compliance audit is that our implementation fits to the policy. And then aside from that, there's a greater visibility into operations, allowing for better decision making and strategic planning. Reduce risk of errors or accidents through improved oversight and monitoring. So we have enhanced customer service and satisfaction through more effective coordination of activities and resources. And it also increased transparency and accountability, which can improve organizational reputation and trust. And then it also improved communication and collaboration among different departments and teams because our respective processes, no, per department or per teams are also aligned, no, with other department as well. And then lastly, greater alignment of operations with overall organizational goals and objectives. So again, no, each department targets or strategies are really aligned with must be aligned with the goals and objectives of the organization or the company. So what are the similarities between strategic control and operational control? So both strategic control and operational control involve monitoring and evaluating the performance of an organization. So that doesn't mean that we have only the operational control, or the other hand, the strategic control do have the monitoring. Both must do have monitoring. So both types of control use performance metrics to measure success and identify areas for improvements. We're in this area, we're going to have the corrective actions. So both strategic and operational control involved in setting goals and objectives for the organization, though somehow we do have the core goals and objectives aligned with each other. So both types of controls are used to measure that the organization is aligned with its mission and vision. And then both strategic and operational control require effective communication and coordination within the organization. And then both types of control involve making adjustments and making corrective actions when necessary. Because it could be, if we're not going to have this corrective action, for our company, which is very for a certain department, which is very necessary, it could somehow affect the other departments as well. So both strategic and operational control are essential for organization long-term success and survival. And ultimately, the main goal, of course, of a certain company is a profit, which is it involves on a long-term success, and long-term plan of a certain organization. So my last topic will be strategic control techniques. So first is we have this premise control. So it identifies the key assumptions and keeps tracks of any change in them to assess its impact on strategy and implementation. So the goal is to find if the assumptions are still valid or not. So it is generally handled by the corporate planning staff, considering that the environment and organizational factors. So premise control allows the top management of the corporation to examine whether these assumptions will continue to hold true with the implementation of the strategy or not. So again, so in this premise control, where there's this will help the management to take corrective actions and do have an appropriate time, certain lead time, timeline where if we're going to continue or discontinue the original strategy, and if we're going to have this corrective actions and evaluate those invalid assumptions that the company do. So the other is the implementation. control. So it includes evaluating plans, programs, projects to see if they guide the organization to achieve predetermined organizational objectives or not. So it consists of identification and monitoring strategic trust. So there are two subcategories of implementation control. So first, we have the monitoring a strategic trust or project. So we're in this first category is that the assessment of specific project or trust has been created drives largely on the strategy. So this early feedback to help to decide whether to continue onward the strategy or to pause or to make some adjustments. We're in the reviewing milestone. The other subcategory is that you will likely identify the important points in the implementation process. So we are referring into milestone, so which means this is really on the broader side. If we check if the milestone are reached, and if the organization if not, so it will be the organization will reassess the strategy and its relevance. So the third strategic control technique is the strategic surveillance control. So it aims to generalize control. So it designed to monitor a wide array of occurrence inside and out of the organization. So we're going to consider this one, all the internal and external factor of the organizations, which will likely have threatened the course of the firm. So this strategic surveillance control is generalized and predominant control, whereas on the premise and the premise and implementation control, it is more specific in nature. So they are into specific, so example for per department, so very specific yung gina-check talaga of its implementation or its strategic control. No? So the last one is the special alert control. So it is a rapid response or immediate reassessment of strategy in the light of sudden and unexpected events. So as what I have mentioned, since sa premise and implementation, specific siya, and then sa surveillance is generalized yung control niya. So for this, special alert control, so this include mga immediate reassessment wherein this needs the contingency strategies which will be manned by the crisis management team. So of course, if there are any sudden or unexpected events in the company, so we must be ready. So it is highly encouraged, of course, to have a risk management program, which will be manned by the crisis management team, and it must be must be reviewed and evaluated on a certain basis. So to make sure that we will have a contingency strategies to implement if there are any sudden or expected events that will happen in our or in the company or the organization, to see to it that the consistency of or the sustainability of the operation must be always there. At the same time, the profitability will not be affected of the organization. So that ends, or these are the key points. The last part is that strategic evaluation and control are crucial elements of successful strategic management. So managers must determine whether the chosen strategy is achieving the organization's goals and objectives. So the fundamental strategy evaluation and controls are, again, reviewing the internal and external factors that are basis of current strategies, measuring the performance, and after measuring the performance, going to have this corrective action after checking if it's suitable or not. And then evaluation is also required of management policies and systems and of specific tasks that are expected to perform. So again, we must have a certain policies and procedures in the company so that also we will be guided of the implementation. And lastly, successful strategies combine patience with a willingness to promptly take corrective actions when necessary. Of course, we cannot afford losses in our company. So we must see to it, or we must check do some corrective action, and of course, and most importantly, the organization itself must be willing, no, to do such prompt corrective action to ensure the sustainability of the operation. So that ends for my topic po. Dean, thank you so much po for listening. Dean, are we going to proceed with the next two reporters po? Noted po, ma'am. So we will proceed po with the next reporter. So it will be reported by Ms. Hart.
Good morning, classmates. Good morning, Dean.
High-quality services and products at the best prices. Additionally, we provide on-site event coordination to
Ma'am
ensure
Liuvi,
smooth
excuse me
execution and
po. Pwede
manage
po pa-mute, ma'am. Thank you po.
consistent success. At ESC Events Organizing Services, we prioritize clear communication, responsiveness, and transparency throughout the planning process. We aim to build strong and lasting relationships with our clients, gaining their trust and exceeding their expectations. With our expertise, passion, and commitment to excellence, we deliver unparalleled event experiences that are tailored
Ma'am
to
Liuvi,
our
excuse me po. Pwede po pa-mute, ma'am.
organizing services means choosing an escape
Pamute,
Parang
Juby,
and
pamute,
worry associated with event planning. We take care of
pamute,
accessibility,
pamute.
details, giving our clients the freedom and peace of mind to fully enjoy their stay.
Naka-open ka sa Zoom.
Honestly,
Pamute.
your event will be
thank you, Ma'am Chat. Proceed, Ms. Hart.
Well, good morning, classmates. Good morning, Dean. So my topic is performance metrics and measurement. So let's define first what is performance metrics and measurements. So they are indispensable tools for evaluating and improving organizational effectiveness. They offer a quantitative approach to assess the extent to which an organization is meeting its goals and objectives. So by employing objective indicators, organization can monitor various aspects of their activities, including financial performance, operational efficiency, customer satisfaction, and employee productivity. So this systematic approach involves establishing clear performance goals, selecting relevant indicators, gathering data, and analyzing findings to gain a comprehensive understanding of overall performance. Implementing comprehensive performance assessment system enables organization to identify both successful areas and those in need of improvement, thus enhancing decision making and strategic planning. Next, um, so the careful selection of suitable performance measures ensures that organizations accurately assess what is significant for their success. Different industries and organizations may prioritize different indicators based on their strategic objectives and business models, including revenue, profit margins, operational efficiency, and customer satisfaction. Furthermore, performance metrics promotes accountability and transparency within organizations, setting explicit performance expectations and providing means for monitoring progress, and fosters accountability and motivations among individuals and teams. So additionally, openly disclosing performance data to stakeholders, including investors, customers, and employees, build trust and facilitates well-informed decision-making. So overall performance metrics and measurements are essential elements of organizational management, providing a methodical strategy to evaluate and enhance performance. So by developing relevant metrics, adopting a strong measurement methodology, and fostering a culture of responsibility, organizations can optimize their operations, improve decision-making, and drive continuous improvement across various dimensions of their activity. So let's compare measurements and metrics. So measurements, it focuses on measures, quantifies physical abstract quantities using standard units, while the metrics, a metric quantifies and evaluates performance or processes. Measures also focus on a single activity, while the metrics focus on the processes. The measures also use the higher level of analysis performance indicator. Next page po. So key performance indicators or KPI serves as measurable metrics used by the business to evaluate their progress towards specific goals and objectives. These indicators are essential benchmarks providing a precise assessment of their organizational performance over time, chosen based on strategic priorities aligned with the business purpose, vision, and overall objectives. They offer a targeted and quantifiable method to monitor crucial performance elements necessary for success. So KPIs encompass a wide range of metrics assessing various aspects of an organization, including financial achievements, customer satisfaction, workforce efficiency, and operational effectiveness. Financial KPIs include variables like revenue growth, profit margins, while operational KPIs evaluate production efficiency and quality standards. So each organization customizes its KPIs to meet its unique requirement and preferences. So moreover, KPI play a crucial role in strategic management, enabling real-time analysis and modification of strategies to enhance performance. So they facilitate informed decision-making by evaluating the effectiveness of adopted initiatives and ensuring adaptability in dynamic corporate landscapes. So additionally, KPIs enhance communication and synchronization with businesses, fostering an alignment among all the members towards shared objectives. So by promoting collaboration and a culture of ongoing development, organization can effectively track progress, make data-driven decisions, and achieve strategic goals at all levels. So here are more examples of KPI across different industries. So I have here safety incident rate. So the KPI measures the number of workplace incidents or incidents for a specific number of hours. Number 2, on-time delivery. On-time delivery measures the percentage of orders or shipments that delivered to customers. Number 3, website traffic. Website traffic measures the number of visitors or website over a specific period. Number 4, Customer acquisition cost, or the CAC, measures the cost incurred to acquire a new customer, including marketing and sales expenses. Employee engagement measure the level of commitment, motivation, and satisfaction among employees. And average revenue per user, or ARPU, measures the average revenue generated per user or customer over a specific period. Number 7 is inventory accuracy. Inventory accuracy measures the percentage of inventory items that are accurately recorded in the inventory management system. Number 8 is the customer satisfaction. It measures the satisfaction level of customers based on their experience with a product, service, or interaction. So the next topic is balance scorecard. The balance scorecard is a strategic management framework developed by Robert A. Kaplan and David P. Norton in early 1990s. It enables firms to translate their vision and strategy into a comprehensive set of performance indicators. Moving beyond solely financial metrics, the BSC comprises 4 interconnected perspectives: the financial, customer, internal business processes, and learning and growth. So let's discuss the financial perspective, customer perspective, internal business processes, and the learning and growth perspective. So first, financial perspective focuses on the traditional financial metrics such as revenue, profitability, and return on investment, providing an overview of the organization's financial health. Second is the customer perspective. It evaluates the organization's ability to meet customer needs and expectations through measures like customer satisfaction, market share, and retention. Number 3 is the internal business processes perspective. It assesses the efficiency and effectiveness of internal operations, including process improvement, quality assurance, and innovation initiatives. Last is the learning and growth perspective. It examines the organization's capacity to innovate and improve continuously, encompassing elements like employee training, knowledge acquisition, and organizational culture. Next is, and also the BSC promotes the establishment of key performance indicators. So for each perspective aligned with strategic goals, it emphasizes the causal relationship between different views, highlighting how the improvements is one area can impact others and contribute to overall strategic success. Implementation involves a systematic planning process where firms define their mission, vision, and strategic objectives, which are then translated into precise KPIs for each perspective. So continuous monitoring and evaluation of these KPIs enable firms to adopt and refine their strategies as needed, fostering a flexible and proactive approach to strategic management. So furthermore, the BSC serves as a communication tool, ensuring all members of the organization understand the strategic objectives and their role in contributing to overall performance. So by considering multiple aspects of performance, the BSC provides a comprehensive understanding of organizational success, going beyond short-term financial outcomes. So overall, the balanced scorecard approach offers a harmonized view of corporate performance by integrating both financial and non-financial indicators across different perspectives. Widely utilized across industry, it has emerged a significant tool for strategic planning and performance management. So that's all for my report. So the next presenter is Ms. Jisa Corazon.
Good morning, Doc. Good morning, classmate. Loud and clear na po ba ako?
Yes, ma'am.
Jen.
Okay, thank you, Doc. Thank you po. So, I will be I will be going to the report the strategic control. So strategic control is an element of strategic management process. It entails the careful monitoring and adjustment of an organization's strategic direction and performance to guarantee the attainment of its objectives. It is a continuous and flexible process that enables firms to remain focused, adjust to changes in the business environment, and efficiently execute their plans. It entails establishing explicit performance criteria and benchmarks to assess the actual performance of the organization. So these standards are generated from the organization's strategic objectives and are used to assess success. Through the establishment of these standards, management creates a basis for evaluating progress and pinpointing areas that may need attention. So, strategic control employs a variety of performance metrics and key performance indicators or KPIs to assess and track development. These indicators encompass all facets of organizations' activities such as financial success, customer happiness, operational efficiency, and internal processes. Consistently monitoring these indicators offers significant insight into efficacy of adapted tactics and aids of identifying potential difficulties of areas for enhancement. So, strategic controls employs a variety of like key performance. So, moreover, strategic control encompasses regular assessment and appraisals of performance. This assessment offers management a chance to contemplate the organization's advancement, evaluate the effect of adapted tactics, and pinpoint any necessary modification. Regular evaluation also enhances organizational learning, cultivating an atmosphere where lessons from both achievement and setbacks utilized to improve future plans. So next, what is the characteristic of strategic control? First is it is a continuous process. It is a management process. It is embedded in each level of organizational hierarchy. It is a forward-looking. It is closely linked with planning. It is tool of achieving activities, and it is an end process. Next. The process of strategic control. Establish standards and target. Second, you will create measuring and monitoring system. The third is comparing the actual performance against the established targets. Fourth is the evaluate result and take action if necessary. Next po. There are three primary types of control. First, pre-action controls. Second, concurrent controls. And third is post-action controls. So the pre-action controls, preliminary controls are put in place prior to the actual implementation of the plan or activity. They are physically engineered to hinder any departures from defined criteria and objectives. Pre-action control encompasses many measures such as meticulous preparation, extensive training programs, and establishing an ambiguous expectation through proactive identification of possible issues. Businesses can apply remedial measures to increase the probability of success implementation. So second is the concurrent controls are implemented simultaneously with the execution of plan or activity. So the purpose of this control is to oversee the regulate ongoing activities and make immediate modifications as necessary. So concurrent controls encompasses several measures such as frequent progress meetings, performance evaluation, and continuous monitoring of real-time data. This process guarantees that organization remain focused and can immediately tackle any arising challenges. So the third is the post-action controls are implemented subsequent to the conclusion of plan or activity. So they entail assessing the results in comparison to a predetermined criteria of goals. Post-action controls encompasses several measures, including as performance reviews, financial audits, and customer feedback analysis. Post-action control facilitate organizational learning, enable the identification of areas for enhancement and the application of lessons learned to the undertakings. Next. What is the adjusting and adapting strategies? So with this, to effectively change and adapt plans, it is essential to have a comprehensive grasp of the external and internal elements that impact the company, like market trends, technical breakouts, and competitive dynamics are its external factors that have potential to alter swiftly. So the internal factors also play a significant role. These include organizational capabilities, resources, and staff skills. Regular environmental monitoring and analysis helps identify shifts in these factors, which calls for tactical adjustment. So next po. So assessing and adjusting the strategic objectives and action plans is necessary step in the strategy adaptation process. This could entail revisiting and reassessing the purpose and vision statements, reassessing long-term goals and modifying strategies to address current challenges or seize emerging opportunities. The flexibility of modify strategic goals ensures that the company remains responsive to the changed circumstances. And that's all for our report po. Thank you for listening po.
Okay. So the aspect of finance for managers, no. Of course, this focuses on understanding financial principles and tools essential for managerial decision-making topics, no. And our presenter mentioned about some financial statement analysis, no, budgeting cost analysis, and others. The strategic management, no, formulation and implementation of long-term plans and initiatives, no, to achieve organizational goal must be considered. And this component, of course, integrates finance and economics concept with strategic analysis, no, and so on. Okay.